We light this chalice with an open heart. We light this chalice with resolve. We light this chalice with tears still fresh on our cheeks. We light this chalice in hope, a tiny flame we nurture. We light this chalice with reverence for this place, for these people, for this time. We light this chalice with all our soul's longings to be who we are, to be who we will become, to be ourselves. We light this chalice in self-love, in giving love, in holy love. These words by Sarah Ruth Davis. This pulpit feels familiar. Some of you don't know that I was a lead here for 10 years, and I see so many beloved faces there. It warms my heart, and it's so wonderful to see all the new faces too. Talk to you later.
We invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our welcome hymn, We Love, We Cry. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need those friends we can all our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our joy of being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Good morning, friends. Can all of those who might have one, and maybe even those of us who don't, could you check your hearing aids? Thank you very much.
Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego, where we worship each Sunday in the South Bay, in Hillcrest, and online.
Buenos días y bienvenidos a la primera iglesia unitaria universalista de San Diego, donde adoramos cada domingo en South Bay, en Hillcrest y en línea.
I'm Marge Wergel, and I use the pronouns she and her. A special welcome to those of you who are here for the first time. Please fill out the welcome card in your order of service.
Me llamo Xochitl Quetzal Ramos y uso los pronombres femeninos, ella. Una bienvenida muy especial a todos que están con nosotros por primera vez. Les extendemos la invitación de rellenar el formulario en el orden de servicio.
Our community is a vital, diverse, multi-generational congregation without borders, with a mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values to help heal the world.
Somos una congregación compuesta de personas de distintas identidades racializadas y culturas, personas de diversas orientaciones sexuales e identidades de género, personas de varias habilidades mentales y físicas.
We are creators of community and compassion, and though we can fall short, we are committed to practicing an affirming welcome to all.
Con espíritu de reverencia, reconocemos que nos juntamos esta mañana en la tierra de los Kumeyaay, quienes continúan viviendo en todo su territorio. Al emprender este viaje juntos, mantengamos en nuestros corazones y mentes al pueblo Kumeyaay.
In a spirit of reverence, we acknowledge that we gather this morning on the land of the Kumeyaay, who continue to live throughout their territories. May the light of this candle shine for our commitment to the Kumeyaay people and to justice and equity for indigenous people everywhere.
Please rise in body or mind to sing our church hymn in inspiration. The skies that faith and hope with love arise, let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land by every tongue. De todos bajo el gran sol surja esperanza, fe, amor, verdad y belleza cantando de cada tierra, cada voz. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. Que el amor sea la doctrina de esta iglesia, la búsqueda de la verdad su sacramento, y el servicio su oración. Que juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con libertad y ayudarnos mutuamente en comunidad. A eso aspiramos.
Good morning, friends. I'd like to invite any of the children or youth who would like to come up and join me for our time for all ages. Good morning. Oh, hi. Hi, friends. There's some spots over here, over here. Well, hi, friends. One of the words, or two of the words, in our title for today's service are Reverent Agnostics. Do you know what that means? No? Yeah. So reverent is sort of like the word reverend. It just means to have respect for something, or to, to pay attention closely to it, that something is special. And agnostic is a Greek word. Gnosticism means knowledge. And agnostic means somebody who doesn't know. So when we use the word agnostic, usually we're thinking about the question of, if you ask somebody, do you think that a God or gods exist. Some people say yes, they're pretty sure. Other people say no, absolutely not. And some people are sort of in the middle. They say, I don't know. And for those people who I don't know, we use the word agnostic. That's kind of where I fit in. I'm in the agnostic category. And so today we're thinking about how you can be an agnostic but still see the world sort of reverently or see the wonder and joy in the world. So I have a book for us today. It is sort of some tips and tricks and advice on how you might find some wonder in the world, and it's called Finding Muchness. And here we go. If you want something new, try something new. Create what you wish existed. Lose yourself in what you love and find yourself there too. Do you like doing things that you love? Yeah? If in doubt, love more. The heart is much like a balloon. The fuller it becomes, the more it wants to fly. Worrying uses your imagination to create things you don't want. And your mind will believe what you feed it. So feed it hope, feed it love, feed it truth. Don't ever give up, especially on yourself. Stand up for what you believe, even if your legs are shaky. Being brave and being afraid often occur at the same time. Remember to be gentle with yourself. Deep breaths are like little love notes to your body. I think that's very true. Can we try one right now? Let's take a deep breath together. Can we take one big deep breath? Oh, did you feel your body relax? I did. Be generous. Some of the best things you'll ever get are what you give. I like that one. And generosity is one of our big values. Be kind to everything that lived. Oh, I like this one. Life is a playground. Don't forget to play. And that's true for you big people, too. Add to the world's wonder. And our last one. Remember that you have so much within you and so many gifts to share. Your life can be everything you've hoped for and much, much more. So I hope, friends, that whatever you believe about the world and other stuff, I hope that you will continue in your life to find some joy and some happiness and love and find some muchness. Do you think that's a good plan? Yes? Oh, good. I'm glad you agreed. Okay, friends, let's stand up, and we'll lead our congregation in the affirmation. I need the help of your hands. We'll say it first in English and then in Spanish. We are Unitarian Universalists, a people of open minds, loving hearts, and welcoming hands. Somos unitarios universalistas, personas de mentes abiertas, corazones amorosos, y manos que dan la bienvenida. And now I invite all the children or youth who'd like to come with me and their other leaders. We'll meet out on the patio and go to religious education. And parents, I hope to see you in our Parents as Spiritual Guides session after the service in room 114. Okay, friends, let's go this way. And we're still hearing that feedback if anyone wants to double check your ears just to make sure.
Now I'd like to share a few announcements. Lay ministers are available after the service on the patio each Sunday. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, they are here to offer a listening presence. Who is the lay minister this morning, please? Les. Thank you, Les. Today, all around our Unitarian Universalist Association, we honor Bisexuality Visibility Day. This is a day to honor our friends and family members in the bisexual community and their supporters. This day is also an opportunity to recognize and celebrate bisexual history, bisexual community, and culture, and all the bisexual people in our church and the community. Please join our Rainbow Action Group on the patio today for a party with treats. On Sunday, September 29th, next week, after service, join the First UU The Vote team for a postcard writing party during social hour. This is a great opportunity to help protect our democracy and act on our values. I've been loving doing the postcards for the campaigns, nonpartisan. And save the date for the Day of Healing, a morning of special workshops and activities for all ages on October 12th. There's a flyer inside your order of service to learn more, and you can register using the QR code. One way we live our values is by sharing our offering each week with a local organization working for justice. Throughout the month of September, our offering is being received in support of the San Diego Organizing Project, a multi-faith network of congregations that represents more than 30,000 families across the San Diego County. San Diego Organizing Project, also known as SDOP, and First UU maintain a tightly knit relationship to best address and serve the needs of our communities. Organizing for Justice, a social justice action team in our congregation, serves as the local organizing committee in cooperation with SDOP. Members determine the local needs and priorities of First UU and represent our church at SDOP meetings. Over the last several years, SDOP actions include support for low-cost housing, living wage, universal health care, and San Diego youth programs. Your donations to SDOP help further address the needs of our congregation and surrounding communities. You may donate this morning here in person by credit card using the dip jars, or by cash or check using the donation boxes. If you'd like assistance, please raise your hand. You may also donate online on our church website at firstuusandiego.org. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
This is one of my favorite poems from Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who's gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one and precious life?
Of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
You know, one of the things that surprises people who are new to Unitarian Universalism, maybe just heard of us, is that within the pluralism which defines us, along with the Christians and the Jews among us, the nature mystics, the pagans, there are a good many atheists and agnostics. Now, maybe we should talk about what these terms mean. An atheist is someone who is sure there is no God. And if you'd like to have an interesting conversation with an atheist, ask them to tell you about the God they don't believe in. very often, people who call themselves atheists, it's because they have rejected a childhood concept of God, an old man with a beard, kind of separate from the universe, interfering capriciously. So sometimes people who call themselves atheists do actually believe that there is an underlying principle or force or power, it's just not a person, that's at work in the world. But there are people who are atheists who have thought this through and will give you cogent arguments for the non-existence of God. There's a lot of books about that. You read those books a lot. So some time ago, there's a feature on National Public Radio about the great 19th century scientist Thomas H. Huxley. He's the guy who invented the term agnostic. So as Tony mentioned earlier, Gnostic is a Greek word. It means to know. And unlike in English, in Greek, as in Spanish and French and German, there are two distinct verbs that in English we call to know. One is to know about something, to know a fact. And the other verb is to know by personal acquaintance, like to know a person. Gnostic is that latter meaning in Greek. So it's to know something from personal experience as we know a person. So if you add the prefix in the front of it, ignates it. So agnostic means not to know from personal experience. Huxley tells us about how he came to invent that term in 1899. I'm quoting, "When I reached intellectual maturity and began to ask myself whether I was an atheist, a theist, or a pantheist, a materialist or an idealist, a Christian or a free thinker, I found that the more I learned and reflected, the less ready was the answer. Until at last I came to the conclusion that I had neither part nor art with any of these denominations except the last. And so I thought and invented what I conceive to be the appropriate title of agnostic. It came into my head as suggestively antithetic to the Gnostic of church history, who professed to know so very much about the very things of which I was ignorant." He goes on to say, in the language of his time, "Every man should be able to give a reason for the faith that is in him. Positively, the principle may be expressed in matters of the intellect, to follow your reason as far as it will take you without regard to other considerations. Negatively, in matters of the intellect, do not pretend that conclusions are certain which are not demonstrated or demonstrable. That I take to be the agnostic faith." As I read these quotes, as I listened to that NPR story about T.H. Huxley, how he struggled with the universe in both his religious and his scientific thinking, I see a lot of honesty and courage in that stance, especially in his time. Honesty because he believed in the scientific method, and he wouldn't admit to anything to be true that hadn't been proven. Courageous because there are some things which we cannot know, some beliefs we can have about things we have no knowledge of, but that are comforting, beliefs about a God that cares about us, beliefs about an existence after death. Huxley said, "I cannot know this, so I will not say I believe it, nor can I say I don't believe it." It's a radical openness to the truth he was demonstrating here. He was willing to be convinced. He was, with greater evidence of the existence of God, but as he stood with his knowledge where it was, he couldn't say yes or no. More recently, in his wonderful book, Rational Mysticism, John Horgan, who was an editor of Scientific American, describes a quest that he undertook and that took him all over the world. He spoke to neurologists who were studying the effects of meditation, prayer, and mystical experiences on the human brain. He talked to people who were investigating psychoactive substances like psilocybin and LSD, which led to religious experiences. And he spoke to philosophers who tried to bring science and religion together. He even went so far as to have an experience himself with a hallucinogen, one of the few that was still legal at the time, called ayahuasca, in which he did have experience with the oneness of all existence. That was his personal experience. And he concluded that there are indeed states of mind that are common across cultures and across time, which make people less fearful, which make them less self-centered. These are techniques like meditation. And while you can trace what happens to the brain in meditation, there's no way to prove or disprove that the meditator is tapping into a reality greater than himself or herself. That's what he says anyway. And so the end, what's his conclusion? That reality is a mystery, an immense mystery, a mystery that we can't get to the end of. And we can conclude from that and rejoice that existence itself is a miracle. You know, the truth is awful. I mean, in its original meaning, full of awe. Because a miracle is something that's improbable, but that happened. So if you look at the universe, it's improbable that there should be something rather than nothing. If you look at the vastness of the universe, what little we know of it, it's got to be infinitesimally small what we know of it. We can conclude that it's a miracle that you exist, that I exist, that human beings exist at all. Each such a complex and wonderful mixture of instinct and reason. Finally, Horgan says, does God care? Who knows? But we care. Our solace and salvation, if we can be saved, will come not from God's compassion, but from ours. Now, I admire this radical stance, but I'm not going to call myself an agnostic. But a lot of people do. A lot of mostly fundamentalist Christians will call me an agnostic, or what they think of as worse. I do fit some definitions of that term, because this is fun. We like to do this, you know. There are subcategories of agnostics. So we should talk about those subcategories. There are agnostic atheists. I'm not going to ask you to show your hands. It's like, but if you want to. Anyway, agnostic atheists, these are people who cannot prove that God does not exist, but they're pretty sure. Then there are the empirical agnostics. Empirical agnostics are ones who believe that there's no way to prove that God either does or does not exist. And this is expressed in a bumper sticker I saw recently that reads, militant agnostic, I don't know and you don't either. Then there are agnostic humanists. Agnostic humanists do not know whether God exists and really believe that it doesn't matter as far as they're concerned. If it were proven that God exists, it wouldn't change their beliefs or their values, because their beliefs or values are grounded in the human potential for good and in the potential of the human family. And that, say the agnostic humanists, is sufficient. Then there are agnostic theists. That's me. Okay? I'll admit to that. I believe that there is a God, but I can't prove it to you. I don't want to. I don't need to. It's based on my own experience, or a number of my own experiences, actually. I believe, however, that God is more a great mind than a great personality or a great machine. And I'm also a mystic, which means that I believe that that great mind, that thing, that entity, that mind which creates the universe in every split second, is something that each of us participates in. That we're one with that which creates the universe. My experiences lead me to believe this. And when we think we're separate, it's because of our fear and our anger and our delusion. And that's really enough for me to base my life on. But am I absolutely sure? I'm pretty sure. Can I prove it beyond a doubt to you? No. You know, this may be the most important point. We have to be careful how we talk about God, no matter what we believe. When somebody says the word God, you don't know what they mean. You may think you do, but they may mean something very different. That conversation can again get confused very quickly. Our limited minds, by definition, cannot encompass the mystery that's the universe. So if we were to say that we limited beings know for certain what the mind of God is, that's what is called idolatry in traditional theological language. We created a graven image of something that is beyond our ability to grasp. We've made a graven image of words, which we then worship and then try to impose on others. We cannot know for certain the final mind of God or whatever, the final truth. A great deal, if not most, of the evil and suffering that human beings inflict on each other has to do with this kind of idolatry. Think about it. Some of this idolatry is theological and religious, some of it's political. It has to do with being certain that we know what God is or what truth is. If we look at this conflicted world full of warfare and terror, we can see that we have to be careful how we talk about God. We can't really talk about God, actually. Our language wasn't invented to describe the ultimate, because by its nature, language is limited. Language is how we chop up reality into discrete bits so that we can communicate about that. But what's ultimate can't be divided. Think about that. And so we have to use metaphors. When we use a metaphor, somebody else is thinking we're speaking literally, and that gets confusing. Maybe you've noticed. But luckily, true spirituality doesn't require God talk. The great philosophies and religions at their core agree that true spirituality has to do with letting go of our egotistical fantasies, letting go of our fearful perceptions of the world, and coming closer and closer to seeing the world not according to our conditioning or ideas or habits, but the way it really is. So an agnostic can definitely be spiritual. I have a meditation teacher who suggests that as a core spiritual practice, we teach ourselves to ask the question of everything that we think is true. Is this true? How do I know? Some of your most cherished beliefs. How do you know? How do you know if it's true? This idea is kind of what explains our country's mess, partially. This philosophical idea that I have about human civilizations, this sense that I'm justified in having this particular angry feeling or that there's a reason for me to have this fear. My teacher suggests that we get in the habit of asking ourselves, is this true? How do I know? Gradually, we realize that much of what we think is true, we don't have any proof of. This brings us closer to truth when we ask that question. To question is the answer. Whether we call ourselves a theist or a mystic or an agnostic. So maybe we shouldn't talk about God too much, but we can talk about love. We put that at the center in our new purposes and principles. We can talk about how it is that we can bring two human hearts together. We can talk about how it is that we can create friendships and groups and communities where people can be themselves, where they can have honor and dignity, where they can reach their true being. We can talk about love. It's hard if we talk too much about God, but we can talk about the human family in its quarrelsomeness and hurt and brokenness. How is it we might heal these divisions and these wounds? How is it that we can create more justice and equity? It's difficult to talk too much about God because it's confusing. But we can talk about our even more extended family, the earth itself, other living beings, this matrix, this mother, if you will, of all of us. How can we care for her? How can we honor her? It's actually dangerous sometimes to talk too much about God, but we can talk about peace, how to bring peace to our individual hearts, to our families, our communities, our nation, and our planet. There used to be a bumper sticker that a lot of Unitarian Universalists had that said, "To question is the answer." I can get with that if we get to change one word. To question is an answer. To question is an answer. It leads us to ourselves, to our lives, to the truth that we can know, so that we can make decisions for love and dignity, for peace and justice. So be it.
We invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, and the great encircling me on. Read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor port have I known. My universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Joel Miller wrote these words with which we'll extinguish our chalice. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through the storms. Go in peace after the postlude.